Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast.
Today we're looking at Bitmine Immersion Technologies.
As usual, before we start, subscribe, like, and comment to this video to support the show. And if there's a specific company you want us to look into, leave it in the comment below.
So let's get into the analysis. For you, the listener, this company represents a really unique play within the whole digital asset sector.
It really does.
We aren't looking at just another crypto miner here. We are examining something pretty different, mainly because of its strategic accumulation of Ethereum.
Right. That's the core thesis that grabs everyone's attention. Bitmine is just fundamentally different from almost all his peers because of this massive crypto treasury.
Specifically, the focus on Ethereum.
Exactly. They've carved out this niche that a lot of analysts are calling the micro-strategy for ETH.
And that's a great analogy. It's very apt. It really is the bedrock of their valuation. I mean, if you look at corporate crypto holdings anywhere in the world, they are the largest holder of Ethereum, full stop.
And it's not just for show.
No, this is a core strategic position. It provides an asset base that's really designed for, compounding value, especially when you factor in staking.
We absolutely have to talk about the sheer scale here because it's honestly staggering. The company holds 3.5 million ETH tokens. That's not just some small percentage of their assets. That is over 2.9% of the entire circulating supply of ETH.
Which is an incredible amount of concentration. That kind of accumulation gives them inherent leverage and, maybe more importantly, a guaranteed recurring staking yield right there on the balance sheet.
And this whole strategy, this hoarding, it's supported by a very solid sort of traditional financial foundation.
It is. They report $13.2 billion in total crypto and cash. But what really stands out to me, looking at it from a resilience perspective, is the liquidity.
The cash on hand.
Yes. They have $398 million in unencumbered cash. That was as of their last disclosure.
And unencumbered is the key word there. It means that money isn't tied up or pledged against debt.
Exactly. So when the crypto market inevitably swings, and we all know how volatile it is, that cash, plus their very low debt compared to peers, puts them in a really strong defensive position.
They're almost built to withstand a downturn.
Yeah.
Maybe even capitalize on it, unlike some of the more leveraged players out there.
Absolutely. So while the treasury is the big shiny object, the whole investment thesis only really works if the operational side, the actual business, can justify the valuation.
Which brings us to their operational momentum.
Oh.
And we're seeing clear signs of improvement and strategic maturity there.
For sure. Let's talk about that maturity.
Well, one big step they took in late 2025 was engaging Tom DeMark and DeMark Analytics as a strategic advisor. That was back in November.
That was a fascinating move. For anyone who doesn't know, DeMark is basically a legend in advanced technical analysis and market timing.
So hiring a name like that, what does that signal to you?
It signals that management is moving beyond just operating machines. It suggests they're keenly focused on optimizing every single part of their business.
Not just mining.
Not just mining. Things like enhanced risk management for their treasury, optimizing timing for asset sales, and maybe most importantly, maximizing the efficiency of their staking. It's an intellectual investment.
And it seems like those kinds of investments are starting to translate into financial results, or at least they're setting the stage for them.
They are. I mean, net income is still negative, to be clear. The trailing 12 months is around minus $6.5 million, but the trend is absolutely moving in the right direction.
And that's because of expanding operations and just better operating efficiencies.
You can see that trajectory clearly in the top-line figures. They're forecasting full-year 2025 revenue at $6.94 million.
Now, that number might sound small, but in this segment, that's explosive growth.
It is. It's a 109% increase year over year from the $3.31 million in 2024. That's the kind of acceleration that gets growth investors really interested.
And it looks like analysts agree. They've recently raised their EPS estimates for fiscal year 2025 to negative 51 cents.
Which is a huge improvement from last year's negative $1.32. So the market is projecting a very clear, very accelerated path toward breaking even.
Okay, so to understand how they're getting those efficiencies, we have to look a little deeper into the actual business model, right?
Right. They aren't just running giant warehouses full of off-the-shelf hardware. Their core focus is on two things: mining as a service, or MaaS, and their proprietary high-end mining infrastructure. Let's break down MaaS for a second. Why is that so key for their margin improvement?
Because MaaS fundamentally changes the risk profile. Instead of being totally exposed to the price of crypto and network difficulty, Moz provides stable, recurring revenue.
From contract.
Exactly, from contracts with large institutional clients. It turns mining from a purely speculative game into a service business with higher margins and, crucially, more predictable cash flow.
That makes perfect sense. And the engine behind that service is their proprietary infrastructure. They talk about thermodynamic management. It sounds like jargon, but it's a huge competitive advantage in a sector where energy is everything.
So what is it?
It's essentially advanced liquid immersion cooling. Instead of using massive, inefficient air conditioners, they literally dunk the miners in a specialized liquid.
Wow. And that lets the hardware run hotter.
Hotter, faster, and more reliably. It also extends the hardware's lifespan and cuts down on downtime significantly.
So the advantage is really twofold: lower power costs per hash and longer-lasting equipment.
Precisely. And that flows directly to lower operating costs and higher reliability. It's a classic case of using specialized tech to gain an efficiency edge. That's what's driving the margin improvements analysts are so excited about.
So you have this combination, a massive ETH treasury and a super efficient Moz model. That's why the stock is getting so much attention.
It is, but we have to look at what's coming up on the immediate horizon. If you're a shorter-term trader or an investor waiting for that next bit of confirmation, there are several hard catalysts coming in the next 3 months.
Okay, let's walk through the calendar. What are the key events that could really move the needle here?
The first big one is the fiscal Q4 and full-year earnings release. That's slated for November 26th.
And that's paramount.
It's everything. It's the first real public test of their recent expansions and, more importantly, how those treasury staking yields are performing. Any beat or miss on guidance there will likely trigger a big reaction.
Then we move into that institutional window in December and January.
Right. Around December 20th, you have potential volatility from ETF rebalancing. It's not directly tied to the company, but those large-scale shifts can drive a lot of liquidity and momentum across the sector.
And that's followed pretty quickly by the disclosure of new institutional holdings in the new year.
Yes, around January 7th, those filings, like the 13Fs, are critical. They show whether the big asset managers and hedge funds are building positions. A large disclosure from a well-known fund. Well, that's a huge signal of conviction in the story.
Okay, so moving from hard dates to market chatter, what are the speculative elements, the rumors, swirling around BitMEan right now?
There are a couple of persistent ones. First, there's a lot of chatter suggesting announcements about new high-profile mass clients before the end of the year.
And landing a major enterprise client would be huge validation.
Oh, instant validation for the model. It would also provide a material boost to that recurring revenue stream that investors love so much.
And then we can't ignore the speculation around their long-term treasury goals. That's driving enormous excitement.
Right. There's this persistent idea that the company is actively working to expand its ETH buying strategy, targeting what some are calling the alchemy of 5% supply goal.
That sounds incredibly ambitious. What would aiming for 5% of the total ETH supply even imply?
It implies strategic influence. If a single company holds 5% of the supply, they gain significant leverage, especially in a proof-of-stake model.
They get a bigger voice.
A much bigger voice in things like network governance, or even the ability to potentially control DeFi protocols that depend on ETH liquidity. It moves them from being just a passive holder to a potential strategic infrastructure player in the entire Ethereum ecosystem.
And looking at the stocks chart, the technical picture seems to reflect all this optimism. It's been setting higher lows all through the second half of 25, trading well above key moving averages.
It does suggest strong upward momentum and conviction, not just noise. The volatility is there, of course. You have to expect it.
Sure. The stock has seen a massive price range, moving between, $25i and $161.
It's extreme, but it's consistent with this kind of high-growth, high-leverage digital asset play. Key support levels seem to be holding right now between $27 and $30.
And if the Q4 earnings and other catalysts hit, the next major resistance levels look to be up between $90 and $120. So there's substantial room for movement.
There is, provided the fundamentals, meaning the ETH price and their operational efficiency, continue to hold up.
Which brings us to the necessary caution.
The risks.
We have to inject that caution. We're talking about a highly leveraged bet on a single strategic asset. So the core risk is obvious, but let's define it. Extreme crypto volatility.
Because their entire thesis hangs on that treasury. The price of Ethereum directly impacts not just their paper wealth, but their staking yield and their ability to raise capital.
And beyond that, you have risks specific to the Ethereum infrastructure itself. Potential regulatory uncertainty around staking or risks from future network upgrades. They've tried to diversify with cash and some Bitcoin, but that huge ETH exposure is the central risk factor.
And then there's the elephant in the room,
Yeah.
valuation. The whole sector's running hot, but this company's valuation metrics are, well, they're substantially higher than average. The price to earnings, price to book, they're all very elevated. Why is the market paying such a premium?
I think it's because the market is applying a sum of the parts valuation. It's valuing that 2.9% ETH treasury at a premium because of its scarcity and strategic importance.
So it's not just the cash flow. No. Investors are valuing that strategic asset base, plus they're applying a high growth multiple to the Moz business. It definitely signals a risk of overvaluation by traditional metrics, but it also reflects the market aggressively pricing in future success.
It seems like the market is pricing in that whole MicroStrategy for ETH thesis far in advance.
Yeah.
So if we pull back and look at the whole picture, what's the right time frame for a potential investor here?
Based on everything, I think the company appeals to two very distinct investor types.
Okay.
You have your short-term traders who are laser-focused on the next 90 days. They're watching Q4 earnings, new client announcements, institutional filings. They're just playing the catalysts.
The other type.
The long-term investors, they're looking beyond 2026. They're focused on the sectoral alpha they could get from that unparalleled ETH accumulation and the long-term adoption of the Moz infrastructure business. It's a very tactical play.
The unique thesis here hinges entirely on whether the market continues to reward the strategic accumulation of a major digital asset, Ethereum, coupled with the increasing profitability and technological dominance of its mining as a service infrastructure business.